Hi, my name is Emily Aragon, and today I'm going to present information on opium's impact on the world and our culture. Opium is a narcotic that is extracted from Papaver somniferus, I think, which is a poppy plant. It has a green bulb that secretes a sticky white fluid and becomes a beautiful pink flower when it in bloom. According to the Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Administration, opium, was grown in the Mediterranean region as early as 5000 BC and has since been cultivated in a number of countries throughout the world. This brings us to the Opium War between Europe and China. There were trades occurring between these countries that caused violence and despair. Drugs were a prevalent issue in these times. Every single day brought on a bipolar reaction in these lands. Every trade boat that arrived was considered with threats and goodwill. Frank Sinello, who was a co-writer along with William Haynes, wrote The Opium Wars, The Addiction of One Empire and the Corruption of Another. Sinello has written several journals on cultural anthropology, proving his academic reliability. In the chapter, Drugs and Guns, he describes the political environment regarding trading and the tenseness of China and Britain. The British used their warships to both provide opium and cause damage. This caused China to fear and depend on Britain. Opium addiction was caused by Britain's retaliation to not being able to provide valuable trade in Asian markets, so instead they offered a drug that made Asia dependent on them. Julia Lovell, professor of modern Chinese history, spoke on this topic in her academic journal, The Opium War, Drugs, Dreams, and the Making of China. Why did the Chinese smoke opium? Of course, it was traded to them, but why did they choose to use it? At first, it was meant for the elites as an aphrodisiac. Later, as it became more available to the public, its widespread use caused more to become addicted to the high that opium provided. This drug became a social norm in China and wrecked their economy. There is a further information on how the Chinese started their addiction in Yang Wenzheng's book, The Social Life of Opium in China. Now for opium's effect on Great Britain. Thomas de Quincey is an essayist from the Romantic era of the United Kingdom. He wrote the Confessions of an Opium Eater, English Opium Eater, while he was addicted to opium in 1823. This work shows how delusional the addict can be in using opium. Using opium and alcohol at the same time, he would describe life as beautiful and colorful, although he was a vagrant in waste, being incredibly in-depth. A quote from which I chose was, "If opium eating was a sensual pleasure, if I am bound to confess that I have indulged in it to an excess not yet recorded of any men, it is no less true that I have struggled against this fascinating enthrallment with a religious zeal." Quincy, 1823. This quote shows his utter dependence towards the drug and how it completely altered his mind. Several art pieces were created with opium in mind. A couple of these art pieces are right here. This piece, this piece is created by Gustave Doré, scripture reader in A Night Refuge, which depicts an opium den. Right below is by Auguste Bourget's Fort on Canton River, which contains an opium-filled trading ship. Both pieces show how the drug has become a norm in their lives, where things like drug-filled ships and opium dens exist with normality. It brings a sort of dystopian feeling to the mind viewing this. On the other side of the board, here are a few examples of how opium in medicinal sense instead of recreationally. Here is a glass bottle labeled to contain lead with opium. Today we know that it's a nastily bad mixture, but at the time it was used to cure several household illnesses. This was also the time that they used asbestos in many objects, so they did not have the knowledge of how bad these chemicals were. Here is an empty bottle for opium tincture tablets. these were used as a painkiller and a way to induce sleep, which is not all the way outrageous, since opium to this day has been used in safe amounts as painkiller, although it is highly addictive. This will be all today. Everything stated today shows the dystopian world of opium war and how it has affected our economy, culture, and art. Thank you and have a fantastic day.